So, about 6 months ago, I created my first two monsters, and I didn't stop there. Welcome back. I'm Christine. This is Mike, and I have a problem. I created all of these monsters, but they don't have a home. So, when I asked you if I should create a map of my universe and you said yes, I was so happy. Mike's not happy though. He's kind of upset that you don't want him to have friends. Don't worry, I'm going to make him some friends in the next video. After hours of sketching, I finally came up with a rough version of the map. Then I outlined everything with a Sharpie marker and turned it into this. It needed more details, so I scanned the image and I brought it into Photoshop. Then I started tweaking things. I basically fixed crooked lines, perspective, I added more trees, I moved some things around, and I played with scale. I even brought back some elements that I originally removed. I wanted it to be as fun as the original sketch. I decided that it doesn't have to be perfect, but it should be fun. After the final tweaks were complete, I printed it onto marker paper, and then it was time to color. I'm still learning how to use alcohol markers, but I'm not letting that stop me because it's really the best option. I want this map to be bold and vibrant. I also want each area to look visually different. It's easiest to achieve this effect by using my alcohol markers. I haven't used alcohol markers in a while, so I'm feeling really rusty. It was a slow start. If this is your first time here, let's recap all of the monsters that I've created. I've made food monsters, mischievous monsters, Christmas monsters. I've even made cute, creepy little monsters. Let's not forget the artsy fartsy bunny and the creative ghost. And of course, art supply monsters are on their way because Mike needs friends. I did make angry art supplies in a previous video, but I want to remake them and give them more personality. Mike deserves better. Those guys are too angry anyway. This is a cheerful world. It's a place where all the fun ideas I've shared on my channel come together and make sense in one place. I spent days coloring this map. I wanted to take my time because it's kind of important. Every time I create a new monster on my channel, I will be referring to this map. Whenever I create a fun product based on a monster, like a sticker pack or a keychain, or even a plushie, this map is going to be included. It might even be the first element in a book that I may or may not be creating. I don't know yet, and I love that. I love that this world is unfolding and basically creating itself. I'm just putting all of the pieces together, starting with this map. I only wanted to use alcohol markers, but I ended up using everything. And when I say everything, I mean Urtex acrylic paint markers, colored pencils, gel pens, more Sharpie marker, and a ballpoint pen. Once I got into this map, I wanted to keep adding more and more details. What I had started with wasn't enough, and the only way that I could add detail on top of my alcohol markers was to use a different art supply, like an acrylic paint pen. I also want to mention that there were some areas in the beginning that just looked rough, like the colors were wrong, I went too dark, so in order to fix that, I had to go back in with an acrylic paint marker. Originally, I was kind of upset that I couldn't stick to the plan and that I couldn't use the alcohol markers the way that I wanted to, but because I was open to trying new things and turning this into a mixed media map, I think I got a better result. Like I said, I wanted to keep adding things. My creativity was flowing. Things didn't look good enough. It needed to have more life, it needed to be more colorful, but most importantly, it needs to be courageous. So it was back to the scanner to finish this map digitally. As you may or may not know, I'm a graphic designer by day and an artist by night, which means that I learned how to use Photoshop before I learned how to paint or make any kind of decent art for that matter. When I brought this into Photoshop and I was able to see everything at 100%, I was horrified. I immediately wanted to fix every little detail that stood out, but I held myself back because The tiny imperfections are what make this map unique. Instead of fixing every little detail, I only touched up the ones that bothered me the most. These are the areas that I accidentally smudged or I dropped a pen or pencil. I also removed the background. Once a tiny bit of this was touched up, I got back to adding more details that I thought were missing, like rocks around this cave and a rainbow above the waterfall. And I even fixed this snowman up a bit, and then I added a roller coaster. Because why the heck not? I don't like roller coasters, but my monsters do. At this point, I wanted to be done. I really did, but I had to add names. You might already know some of these names, but this is the official introduction. This is Snowman Summit. This is where all of the wintry monsters live. Snowman Summit overlooks Frozen Hollow, and this is where all of the monsters come to celebrate Christmas, any type of special occasion, and they all sing and dance around this fun Christmas tree. Right next to Frozen Hollow is the Land of Mischief. This is where all of the little trickster monsters live, and they love to play practical jokes on everybody else in the world with their bamboozle dust, which they get from the bamboozle woods. The Land of Mischief is next to the Cozy Crypts. This is where the cute, creepy monsters live, such as the Creative Ghost and the Bunny Ballerina, as well as others that we have not yet explored. Above the Cozy Crypts, we have the Art Supply Land. Art Supply Land is a place where all of the monsters can get their supplies from the environment around them. Another amazing feature about Art Supply Land is that it's right next to Rainbow Whisper Woods. All of these trees possess the colors of the rainbow. You can grab a leaf from these trees and use its color to make art. Moving on to Lake Mistake, this is where you can throw your doodles and your art pieces that you feel like are mistakes into the water and they come out as masterpieces. Above Lake Mistake, we have Sweet Candy Kingdom. This is where all of the sweet monsters live. Above Sweet Candy Kingdom, we have Peppermint Peaks. I intend on making a lot of dessert monsters and a lot of sweet monsters, and Sugar Candy Kingdom is just too small to contain them all. This is Rainbow Falls. This is my favorite area on the map because all of the rainbow monsters live here. It's kind of self-explanatory, but it's going to be a fun video to look forward to, so get ready for that. Left of the Rainbow Falls, we have Lowland. Lowland is where all of the monster emojis live. They don't really need houses because they're just floating emojis. Oh, and I forgot to mention that Art Supply Land is where Mike lives. Oh my gosh, how could I forget that? And that's it. That's all of the realms in the Courageous Painting Monster universe. Wait a minute. What's this? Oh, this is the Forgotten Hollow. So the Forgotten Hollow is so forgotten that I forgot to mention it. Basically, it's just a creepy part of the universe that the monsters don't really go into. There's a lot of magic behind it. It's a mysterious place. I think it'll be okay if we just ignore it. But it wasn't okay because the portal came from the fantasy realm and it appeared all on its own. Suddenly, all kinds of fantasy creatures began pouring into the Courageous Painting monster world. And my passion for creating fantasy creatures and monsters started to collide right before my eyes. The only way to create harmony between the two creatures is to paint them together. So let me introduce you to the very first piece of my 2025 collection, When Worlds Collide. I'm using acrylic painting paper for this piece, and of course, I'm using Liquitex acrylic paint. It's been my favorite for years. If you're wondering why my setup looks a little different right now, it's because in the middle of filming this video, I thought it was a good idea to change my entire space. I don't know what I was thinking, but it's better now, so I guess it's okay. I'll give you a behind-the-scenes look soon, but for now, I think it's time for a story. Once upon a time, wait, no. I can do better than that. In a land far, far away, there was a mischief maker named Benny. Yes, let's call him Benny. He was wandering through the bamboozle woods, collecting bamboozle dust. This dust is in short supply right now because a ton of it was just used in Creative Paula's coloring book. It was Benny's job to gather more so the mischief makers could continue pulling pranks on the other monsters. Their next target? Art Supply Land. As Benny scooped up dust, a massive shadow suddenly loomed over him. The forest darkened, and the air filled with the scent of sulfur. Now, one special thing about mischief makers is that they don't get scared. They just get curious. So instead of running, Benny blinked a few times, then slowly circled around the towering figure to get a better look. "Oh, what the heck are you?" Benny asked. The creature, a massive dragon, gazed down at him and replied, "I am a dragon, and I was called to your world by the creative spark." Hold up, let's put the story on pause for a second. How did I forget to tell you about the creative spark? She lives in Art Supply Land and flies across the world, spreading inspiration everywhere. That's why the portal appeared. She must have opened it to inspire me. Okay, now that you know who the creative spark is, we can get back to the story. Benny and the dragon sat together in Bamboozle Woods, swapping stories about their worlds. The dragon explained that he wasn't the only one who had traveled through the portal. Others had come too. However, not all of the creatures that came through the portal are friendly. Some are dangerous. Some might even try to capture the creative spark and take her to their own world. Benny didn't hesitate. He immediately hopped on the dragon's back, and together they soared towards Art Supply Land, determined to find the creative spark before it was too late. I really hope she's okay. And if you want to learn more about the mischief makers, I may have let one loose in Creative Paula's coloring book. You can watch that video here.